Hey guys, it's your favorite gold miner, prospector, and geologist, Jeff Williams. And today we're on the hunt for drift mines and placer diggings. And if I find any of them, I'm gonna tell you where they're at. Ooh, so let's get into it. Now for you guys out there that don't know what a drift mine is, I've made many videos about it. And all that means is you're dropping down through all the alluvium to get down to some kind of impervious zone like bedrock or an artificial bedrock like caliche. And that's where most of the gold is gonna be, placer gold, in that district. Now that's a big important clue right there. It has to be a district that supports placer gold. Because if you go out to lode mine, chances are you're gonna find lode gold. But I'm out here looking for placer gold. And I've read a lot of reports in my USGS that say there's placer gold in this caliche. Oh man, that's gonna take dynamite to get that out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look for old timers diggings, and then we're gonna prospect, and I'm gonna show you how to do that with hardly any water. This is what I'm talking about. This is where somebody started to drift into these beds of caliche. See these gravel zones here? And wherever they touch is called a bedding plane. So you got all these beds of gravel, and some of them are cemented together, which is caliche, which would take dynamite to get it out. And you can see where they've been digging good into that one zone. And that's always a good sign when you start seeing all these cuts into the alluvium or shafts that are driven down into the alluvium. Because that tells me that they were finding gold, because nobody does that kind of work unless they are. And looky here, see this caliche bed? It's as hard as concrete. But this is a good trap right here for the gold to get down in here or back in there. That would be perfect. Or under that rock that's sitting on top of caliche. Now, if you're finding big giant boulders on bedrock or caliche in a placer known district, you gotta get underneath them, because that's where the good gold is. And now you know you're saying, Jeff, how the heck am I supposed to do that? I'm gonna show you in this video. Look at this. This is nothing but caliche. This would be worth backpacking to see if there's any fine gold in it. And this would be another good spot to start digging. But look at that. You need dynamite to get in there. Look at this. These little pockets. These are great right here to trap gold. This would be a good place to sample. And look at here. Remember these old workings? Nice. Somebody's been digging really hard to get that gold. Because you don't work this hard unless you're finding good gold. Look at this. And you can see it's right down here in this gravel zone. See these giant rocks right here? And look at these heavy rocks that are down in there. That's a good spot. Look at the size of that rock. There's my boot for comparison. When you start encountering rocks like this or bigger that are sitting on caliche beds or bedrock or any type of impervious zone, you want to get up underneath them. Why? Because the gold accumulates around these things, especially around the back and sometimes in the front, and actually gets trapped up underneath there and doesn't go anywhere. So you need to move this thing out of the way. I know you're saying, Jeff, that sounds good on paper, but how are you gonna do it? I'm gonna show you how. Now, most guys will use a come-along or winch to move those rocks out of the way. But I've got an easier way. It's called the Sierra Blaster, and it's completely legal. Now, they make other variations of this, and one of them is called a boulder buster, and there's other names, but the concept is the same. Is you're gonna drill holes into that rock, and you're gonna put little tiny explosives in there, and you're gonna blow that rock to smithereens. Now, I've made a complete video on how to use this Sierra Blaster, and I'm gonna leave a link right here. Go ahead and watch it. It'll give you a detailed explanation of how the thing works and how you're supposed to use it, and little tips and tricks that I've developed over the years. And the cool thing about it is it's 100% legal, and you don't need a license to use it. This is a game changer, because you can just pop rocks right out of the way and get to the gold nobody else can get to. Now, this whole area has been dug out pretty heavy, so that tells me they're finding good stuff. Now, if you remember this spot, I made a video about it not too long ago, and we dug out a whole bunch of material and we found gold. So I know that there's gold in here, but the trick is, where is the gold coming from? And that's what you should be focused on too, is trying to isolate the layer that actually have gold in it. And that is going to be very time consuming, because you're going to have to go through and sample each zone that looks different as far as the size and compactness of the gravels. So that's where you got to be a detective. So we're going to go through here and sample and try to figure out where the best gold layers are at. Now, something that's really going to help you out is to use what's called a muck sheet, okay? It's basically just a piece of wood that you're going to put down here, and then you're gonna dig onto. And the reason why is because it's gonna keep you from cross-contaminating. You see how that works? So what I would suggest is you get a small piece of light plywood that you can take out into the field, and then when you get to these areas, you're gonna individually sample each layer of gravel and look for the contact zones. Put it on that plywood, sample off of that. If you don't find anything, then you'll mark it off. You can either use spray paint or you can use construction tags to localize each layer, and then you just go down deeper and deeper. But the plywood will help keep from cross-contaminating. It's brilliant. And I know you're thinking, Jeff, how are you gonna do any of this without a dry washer or a big old panning tub? I'm gonna show you, check it out. I've got a Garrett Super Sluice Gold Pan, and I've got the classifier that comes with it. It's a 1/4-inch classifier. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna dig out the zones you think has gold in it. And you're just gonna put it in your pan. And remember what I said, big rocks, big gold, little rocks, little gold. Flow sand, no gold. Now you get the idea of where drift mining comes from. Because if I start finding good gold, instead of removing this overburden, I'm just gonna start burrowing into the hillside. You see how that works? And that would be drift mining. Because I found the pay layer and it's sitting on some type of impervious zone, and I'm just drifting along on top of it, so I don't have to remove all this overburden, because that would be too much work. And you wanna work smarter, not harder. Then you just simply classify out the larger material. And you dry pan the rest of it. Now the Garrett Super Sluice Gold Pan is the only gold pan that I know of that you can dry pan with. It's because it's got those giant riffles in it. And remember what I showed you about dry panning. You've got to stratify that material by hand without water. What does that mean? You vigorously shake the heck out of that pan. And what happens is that all the heavier material drops to the bottom. You're stratifying it. You see that? But because you don't have water, it takes more work. Then as you're doing that, tilt to the front. And just as it's about to come over the edge, take the back of your hand and push the material out. Bring the material back into the pan. Vigorously shake it, tilt forward, and do it again. Try to stay away from the back, because if you have any kind of little pieces of gold, you could literally scoop them out. So I like to get about 1/3 from the back and scoop out, not too deep. Bring the material back in the pan and do it again. And you just keep doing that. And then, if you have no water, you can literally blow the material out. And be careful, because it's gonna wanna get in your lungs. But if you have just a water bottle of water, that's all you need. All right, let's see what we got. All right. I knew I should have brought my glasses. I forgot my glasses. And then we're gonna tap. That's the Alabama bump or bounce. Do the Williams wiggle. Alabama bump. Williams wiggle. And right there. You see it? That's a nice little piece. Not bad. And then what you do is what water you have left, you put it back. I should have brought a funnel, but I didn't, I forgot. Yeah, old age. Wait till you get up there. You'll be forgetting to put your pants on in the morning. Is now that you started to find little pieces of gold, you want to inspect that gold. Why? Because the gold's going to tell you a story. It's going to say, hey, Jeff, I came from a far, far place away. Or guess what? I'm just right up the creek just a little bit. If you go a little further, you'll find all my brothers and sisters. So we're going to take a good peek at it using a hand lens 10 times. Or a jeweler's loop, same thing. Let's take a good look at him. Oh, he's a nice one. Now he's flat, rounded. Looks like he's been beat up. There's a few little smaller pieces in there, but that's the one I'm interested in right there. So that tells me that he's come from a long ways away. So being a detective, you gotta start going uphill. Now, yes, I understand that the topography can change over thousands, if not millions of years. But this tells me that it's either coming from up here and sliding down this way, or it's coming from up there and it's coming around this way when this wash used to cut in this way. Do you see my point? The easiest thing is to go upstream and you sample any exposed caliche beds. Or if you don't find anything there, you go up here and you start trenching to see if you can find anything, because the topography of the land underneath can be different than what's on top. And I'm gonna go over on the other side of the hill and see if I can find anything that looks remotely good, and then I'm gonna sample that. And that's what you should be doing too. But I'm not gonna do anything till you smash that like button. Smash it hard! Ah, now look at that. Now, I can't tell if somebody dug that or if that's natural, but I'm gonna say somebody dug it because I've got them all over the hillside here. Let's take a look at it. Look at that. Somebody's been digging right along this bedding plane right here. And I got one across the way there. I got one up there. See, they're sampling on top of each different bedding plane, and that's what you should be doing too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep walking up this wash, because I'm gonna go to the top just like a sluice box, and I'm gonna sample. If I don't get anything there, I'm gonna slowly come down and I'm gonna check each side tributary that feeds into this. And if I don't find anything, then I know that that gold was coming from up on top of the hill and was basically sloughing off. So that's what we're gonna do, and that's what you should be doing too. There's a waterfall right here. You see where it drops down? This would be a good place to sample, and I can tell somebody's been digging up there right along that zone. I might pull samples because I can see where they've been digging right along the top there. This stuff is too hard to dig in, but that's not. So I'm gonna sample up there and I'm gonna keep walking up, see if I see anything that looks good or juicy, because I can see where people have just been digging the heck out of this. Here's another one right here, see it? He's digging along that one particular zone. I'll sample him too. This is what I was looking for. You see where this wash here ties in here? And I've got another one that ties in here. And this is the confluence right here. Then it goes down. This is a great place to sample because it tells me, A, is the gold here? And if there is, I need to sample over here and figure out where the gold is coming from. Now you can see somebody's thinking the same thing I am. This is an inside curve and they dug the heck out of this area. And you can see I've got tailing piles here, header piles here. And this is all the overburden that they moved out of the way. So they're thinking the same thing that I'm thinking. And I'm wondering if they're finding it, so I need to sample there too. Now this is interesting. Somebody put this here. You see that? Like a marker. So we're gonna sample him first. Now I want you to see how red that's getting. That means I've got iron in there. That doesn't mean I got gold, but it means I've got iron in there. Look how hard it is. You want gold? You gotta earn it. Oh, that is hard pack, and that's the stuff you want. Because that's old and ancient. All right, we'll move on to the next site. Here's a smaller one here. I don't think they were getting anything because it's kind of small. And that's what it's like to sample. You sample as many places as you possibly can. Try to cover as much ground as you can. And if you find something, then you got to go back and isolate it. All right, last one. I'm gonna sample the edges there. It seems like they were staying on this one particular bedding plane. So that's what we'll do. Pull a sample and then go find out what we got before it gets dark. All right, that's it. That's as much as I want to go for. All right, let's go find out. All right, we're gonna go ahead and dry pan this like I showed you earlier, and then we'll use water for the final cleanup. Stay. All right, Williams wiggle, Alabama bump, Williams wiggle, Alabama bump. I already see a piece of gold right there, but I want something bigger. Williams wiggle. I got a little tiny piece there and a little tiny piece right there. I'm a little disappointed because I would have thought for sure that I would have better gold than that. But hand lens. So under inspection, this piece is really, really rough. I mean, angular and sharp, but it's really tiny. So what does that tell me? It tells me I'm on the right track. What I need to do is go back up in there, isolate each one of my sample holes and get a bigger sample, because the roughness, even though it's a tiny piece, just the fact that it's rough and angular and sharp and not smooth like these other pieces, that tells me that I'm close to where this gold was coming from. And that is why it's important. I know a lot of people scoff at little gold, but trust me, it can tell you volumes of information. And I like what I'm seeing here. What I'll do is I'll go back up in there and then I'll be more methodical and take larger samples. I'll bring a hammer drill instead of just using my pick. The hammer drill is so much more efficient when you're working up in there, and I highly recommend you get one too. Now, I know you're thinking, Jeff, you said at the beginning of the video that if you found gold, you're going to tell us where it's at. That's right, I am. So you just keep your pants on. Now, of course, I can't tell the whole world where this place is at, or everybody and their uncle will be there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to draw it up on a map and give it away to one lucky patron. And not only that, they have a chance to win one of 10 bags of pay dirt that we mine from our drift mine, and they have the possibility of winning a Gold Monster 1000 metal detector. If you want to get your hands on any of this stuff, all you got to do is look for the little icon at the end of the video that looks something like that. Click on it, make a $10 pledge, and you're in like Flynn. And I'll see you on the next video.